Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. A lot to get to. You notice I didn't talk a lot about LSU there. I'm going to do that here. So we'll get into it here. Interesting shift that I did not necessarily see preseason with what Mississippi State has done offensively through the first two games. We all know the circumstances around their coaching change and their change offensively. Mike Leach came in 2020, put the air raid in place, and Mississippi State had a really nice 3-year run. And now Zach Arnett has taken over, and he's handed the keys over to the offense and said, hey, let's be a little bit more balanced. And so they're going to attempt to be more balanced. And they've actually been very, very run-heavy to this point through 2 weeks. Now, they played Southeastern in a laugher, and they played an overtime game against Arizona. How much do we know about what they're going to do against LSU? I think a little bit, but not everything for sure. So the question is, what does this run game look like for Mississippi State? Because that was a massive question entering the season. We looked at their offensive line and said, look, this is a group that was essentially recruited to protect the passer. Mike Leach wants to put his offensive linemen up there. He wants long and lean guys. He wants wide splits. He wants defensive linemen lined up way, way outside the tackles, trying to rush the passer from a long way away. This is the air raid's identity. And all of a sudden, you're going to flip those guys and ask them, hey, we need you to put your hand in the dirt and go hit somebody and knock them off the line of scrimmage. It's a different gig. So how well will they be able to do it? Well, they've done it pretty well through 2 games. Now, I spent all of last week telling you that whatever LSU does against Grambling on the field isn't going to mean a whole lot to me. And what Mississippi State does against Southeastern Louisiana doesn't mean a lot to me. However, Arizona, although not a powerhouse, does have Power 5 D1 FBS scholarship players on their line. And Mississippi State ran the ball well in that game. Now, you look up front at this state line, left tackle Quatravius Johnson, 6'7", 330. That's a big boy left tackle. That's standard size. Left guard Nick Jones, 6'3", 300. A little lean to be an offensive guard in SEC play. Cole Smith is a center. We're familiar with him. Spent some time in Baton Rouge. 6'3", 305. Pretty standard size for a center. Not big. Certainly not big or small, pretty standard size. Steven Lasonga is the right guard, 6'4", 320. That's pretty standard size for an offensive guard in the SEC. A tad on the light side, but not super light. And then 6'5", 315 Cameron Jones at right tackle, which is fairly standard size. It's not a remarkably small offensive line. It's not a bunch of 6'6", 290 guys. That may be what Mike Leach put out there at Texas Tech or Washington State, but they're not grossly undersized. They're a little small at guard, but not 280 again. 300 and 320 at guard, that's pretty par for the course. What they are is old. Johnson, the left tackle, 5th-year player. Jones, the left guard, 4th-year player. Smith, the center, 5th-year player. Lasonga, right guard, 5th-year player. Cameron Jones, right tackle, 5th-year player. They got 4 5th-year guys and a senior on their offensive front. That's what's coming towards LSU in an attempt to run the football. And LSU is really old. On the defensive front, Obi Akufo is on his 3rd team. He's a 5th-year player. Makai Wingo, 3rd-year player. Mason Smith, 3rd-year player. Braden Swinson, 3rd-year player. Tank Guillory, 4th-year player. Jordan Jefferson is an upperclassman. So it's a battle of very, very old groups at the point of attack. I know that LSU has not stopped the run well. There's actually a stat that they're worst in the country in first-half rushing yards allowed. That's a little hard for me to believe, but you look at what Grambling did, and Chance Williams did have 76 yards in the first quarter on Saturday night. He added 30 more in the second quarter, so he did go over 100 yards in the first half. That's bad. I don't have any other way to say it, but that's bad. it wasn't as if Benson from Florida State went nuts. In the first quarter, he had 1 carry for 12 yards. In the second quarter, he had 4 carries for 6 yards. He had 18 yards in the first half. So I'm surprised that LSU is that bad in terms of first half running statistics, and I guess Grambling did that to him. But I still sit here after 2 weeks of watching LSU play with my knowledge of what these guys are up front. I know what Mekhi Wingo is. I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on the 2 ends, Akufo and Agofu. I think it's Agofu. That's really bad that I don't know that at this point. They've been playing for 3 weeks. Braden Swinson, I feel like I know what I've got there. You had Guillory and Jefferson as depth pieces that I think are quality players. And then you look at LSU's linebackers, Perkins. If Spates plays, we'll see Penn get into the Weeks brothers. It's a lot of old dudes. And I think LSU should be able to stand up to this rushing attack. If Mississippi State comes out and runs it 32 times for $189, it will surprise me. It'll surprise me. I sat here 2 weeks ago and I said, if Florida State comes out and lights it up to be there, that's not going to shock me. It didn't at all. If Mississippi State is able to move LSU around in the run game, that will surprise me on Saturday morning. Now you're looking at an experienced running back in Woody Marks. Marks is going to set the Mississippi State record for receptions on Saturday. Needs 2. I think that's probably doable. And he's a running back. So you understand what his role's been since he stepped foot in Sarkville. But he's done a good job in the ground game. I don't, however, think he's Anthony Dixon. I don't think he's a top 3 round draft choice. Like, this is not one of your Alabama studs coming into town. This is just a nice SEC back. And there's a reason why I was high on Mississippi State entering the season. It's their age, it's their quarterback, and that I thought that Woody Marks would be pretty good in this role. But I wouldn't sit here and tell you as an LSU fan that I'm like terrified of Woody Marks. I think he's just a nice back. He's going to get what's blocked. Is he going to run away from everybody? Probably not. Is he going to truck a linebacker in the hole for an extra 7? Probably not. He's got shifty feet. He can make a guy miss, certainly one-on-one, and has done that in the past game the last couple of years. But I don't think Woody Marks is the guy that you're concerned with for LSU. If Mississippi State's able to run the ball, it's because their offensive line's moving LSU around. That's plan number 1 for this Mississippi State offense. And they've got a plan number 2. Will Rogers is not a bad backup plan. But keep in mind, in an overtime game last week, they asked him to throw it 17 times. They're trying to be physical and run the ball. Now, the point has been brought up a couple times this week on different podcasts and shows that I've listened to, like, is Mississippi State playing it vanilla? Are they trying not to show LSU anything in games against Southeastern and Arizona? And while that sounds like a good talking point from the outside and seems like something you might want to do because you ought to be able to win games against Southeastern and Arizona, the fact of the matter is that you went to overtime with Arizona. I don't think you're leaving stuff on the shelf for LSU when you're in a 1-score game against Arizona. I think you pretty much run your offense and do what you do. And what they did was keep the ball on the ground. Well, sure. You could think that Arizona's smaller than LSU, which they are, so it would make more sense to run the football at them. And you could think that LSU's secondary is vulnerable, which they have proven to be, and you might air it out more than you did last week, and I expect to see that. But I do believe, with limited information, albeit, that Mississippi State's first goal is going to be to run the ball. I think you're looking at Zach Arnett as a head coach who realized last year, the year before that, man, when you throw it a lot, if you misfire or you have a quick drive, that puts a lot of pressure on my defense. I'm tired of dealing with that. I think my defense is pretty good. I want to give them every opportunity to be great, to be rested, to be fresh. That starts with running the ball on the offensive side. That's just me reading the room. And it makes a lot of sense. So I think Mississippi State, goal 1 on Saturday is run the ball. I think LSU is very well equipped to slow that down. Now, you could very easily point to last week against Grambling and go, look, Grambling gashed them for a half. And I would be like, yeah, that was pathetic. I think the environment changes a little bit on Saturday morning. There's a lot of angles to this game that I'm excited to attack today and tomorrow. But I think this is the first one we needed to get to. What does Mississippi State's identity look like on offense? Because it's new, and I think it's going to start with the run. I like LSU in that matchup right now. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.